I want to give you some great news. Good news. It doesn't get any better than this. It comes straight from God, the Son of God, Jesus himself. I want to quote him, and this is what he said. God will not condemn you or judge you. He will not be hard on you. God will forgive you. Oh yeah, that's right. That's only half of what he said. That's pretty good news, isn't it? But it's only half of what he said. Let me give you the other half of the good news. If you do not condemn others, God will not judge you. If you are not hard on others, God will not be hard on you. If you forgive others, God will forgive you. For the way you treat others is the way you will be treated. Parenthetically or implicit is the thought, treated by God. Let's be really clear about that. Jesus isn't talking about the structures in society, the institutions that give order to civilization. He's not saying it's wrong to be a judge in a municipal court or a justice on the Supreme Court or something like that. Jesus is talking about our everyday one-on-one personal relationships. And Jesus is not saying, well, if you'll do good by other people in these ways, then they'll come around and treat you exactly the same way. That wasn't true for Jesus. He treated them this way, and look what it got him. It got him nails, a whip, and a cross. We shouldn't expect better than our Master. No, what Jesus was talking about is not about how that will make other people come around to the way you treated them. It means that no matter how they treat you in return, you did right by God, and God's keeping record of that, and he'll do right by you. He knows someone that's a chip off his old block when he sees it, and he sees all things. And he wants you, son or daughter of God, to be like him. Jesus really tells it plain, doesn't he? He's right on the level with us when he speaks to the deepest needs in our life. Truth be told, it's all too easy for us to be as hard as iron toward other people. You say, I would never be that way. I am not that way. Well, you're not the one to ask. It's the others around you that should be interviewed. They're not even a perfect witness either because they don't see the whole picture any more than you do. But God does. And God knows if you are judging others, if you tend to be condemning of others. He knows whether you're harboring unforgiveness and all the bitterness that entails within you. He knows if you're just making life difficult for others, if you're being hard on other people, whether you think they deserve it or not. He knows these things. And it's the way you treat others that he will treat you. He said, now wait a minute, you set me up. You told me this was good news. And it certainly is good news that God will not condemn or judge me, that God will not be hard on me, that God will be forgiving toward me. But now you tell me this other stuff, and I'm not so sure it's good news. It's the best news you could possibly hear. Your Father and mine has told us ahead of time, long ahead of time, and given us example, perfect example, his name is Jesus, of exactly how to live in a way that makes him smile. And what makes him smile is when we take extremely good care of the way we deal with our siblings, you might say, the other human beings in this world. Not just those that we have close affinity toward, those that we have natural attraction toward or understanding of, but every person, especially those people that it may come easy for us to condemn or judge. It may be something that's quick for us to do in being hard toward that person, or it may just be something that feels right when we refuse to forgive that person because we know what they've done, maybe even to us. But God steps in and he says, I'm really not concerned about how you feel. And I'm sure not interested in using your measure and standard of what's good or right or best as to what's quick or easy. What I'm interested in you, son or daughter, God seems to be saying, is if you're like me, if I'm merciful. See, that's exactly what Jesus said right before he said this in Luke chapter 6, verse 37 and 38. He said, be merciful as your Father is merciful. You notice what Jesus is saying? Jesus is saying, look to God and understand his character. If you understand his character, you know that he's merciful. And so then you know how to look at the people around you. And then you are merciful. You say, how do I be merciful? Well, you forgive. You refuse to be hard on people. You do not judge and condemn other people. You say, wait a minute, there's a place for judgment. That's right. And you and I are not the judge. God is the one who's judge. It's not our place to put ourselves in his place. We dare not usurp that throne of his. He'll look at us and he'll say, who do you think you are? Or, depart from me, I never knew you. He'll disown us. There is a place for justice, for judgment. God is the one who can dispense it. Jesus here is talking about how generous we are toward others. When our life is reflective on God's character, then we become people who are generous in giving what people need the most. And what people need the most is not to be judged, not to be treated harshly. They need to be forgiven. And when God sees us acting this way, he will give to us big time. You know, what I quoted was Luke chapter 6, verse 37, and then the end of verse 38. I didn't quote what comes right in the middle. You might even call that the meat of the sandwich. What comes right in the middle, Jesus says, is that if you are giving toward others, then God will be giving toward you. It will be giving like this. And then he describes it in three ways. And you can't help but love it. Talk about good news. It's like God wants to shower blessing on you in such a way, I'm quoting the Contemporary English Version, as if it's packed down. Think like a merchant. Someone in the market is buying some sort of grain from a merchant in ancient times. And they present before the merchant this clay vessel for them to put it in. And so the merchant, wanting to be fair, takes what is necessary to be poured into the vessel and then packs it down. And then he looks at it and he says, that's not good enough. And the next portion of the verse says, it's packed down and shaken together. The merchantman takes the vessel and shakes it so that things settle down further. He can get a little more in there and then packs it down some more. And then he eyeballs it and says, no, that's still not good enough. And let's put a heap on that. And he pours it out until there's a big mound on top of this clay vessel. And he's still not happy. He just keeps on pouring until it just is running out all over this person's lap or on the countertop. Isn't that powerful? Isn't that a powerful image of what our God is like? He wants to do us good one day in a way that's packed down, shaken together, and overflowing into our lap. Our God is a very good and loving and merciful God who longs to give us forgiveness. He does not want to be perceived as harsh or hard toward us because he doesn't want to be that toward us at all. And he's not eager to condemn us. He longs to embrace us and rescue us. And we will know that we are in that arms of embrace and acceptance and deliverance and salvation and forgiveness when we treat others in this life here and now that very same way. You know, I don't want my heart to be as hard as iron. I don't want to be so habitual in my ways that I've been about it so long it's become really rusty in the way that I'm unforgiving toward others or quick to judge or condemn. See, God doesn't care about the measures that I use for what's good or right or appropriate in things. I may look to what's quick to do, or what's easy to do, or what feels right. Because all too quickly I can judge someone. All too easily I can be hard or harsh towards someone. And oh, it can feel so good to not forgive that one that's been so unright toward me. Jesus shows up and says, let me tell you what the Father's thinking. Don't use those standards of measure. Measure your life by me. What would my Father do in this situation? And if you don't understand what that is, Jesus says, watch me. I'm skin and bones. I'm living it out. This is how to live. Wow. The tremendous irony of when we as Christians, that is, we who claim to be copiers of Christ, litter up the landscape of our life by not really reforming our ways, in trying to be Christian in some ways, but remaining harsh and hard, unforgiving, or condemning and judging. I don't know about you, but this passage gives me a great deal of food for thought. It's something I feel convicted I need to think about more often, pray about more consistently, and most of all, to do something about. I pray it's had the same effect on you. Go read Luke chapter 6, verse 37 and 38 in the Contemporary English Version. You may want to do it several times slowly, maybe even daily, like a prescription for a while. Grace and peace be with us all.